Greetings, beloveds. This is Amy Karen Johnson with another message from Gaia, Mother Earth. And today I'd like to talk about what I associate as the heart center in human design. If you can hear some noise in the background, it's my dog enjoying a little treat. So I am grateful to my dog for helping me let go of perfectionism, and so I invite you to let him help you let go of any perfectionism you might have with background noise being completely silent. My furnace is also running. So in human design, there's a center at the center of the body graph, and it's a diamond shape. If it's defined, it's yellow, and if it is open, it is white, as with all centers. If they're open, they're white. And if you'd like to run your chart, again, I've said this in the last 3 videos, you may go to search for any free human design chart site. There are lots of them out there. The one I usually recommend is humandesignamerica.com/chart. Last week we spoke about the solar plexus, and I mentioned that it does, in my view and my interpretation, have to do with actually 3 of the centers in human design. I will get to the other 2 at a later time. This time I'm going to the heart. That's what Gaia really wants me to focus on right now. However, in human design, it is not called the heart. It is called the G center. And my theory, I've never heard this confirmed, is that the G center, the G in that name, stands for gravity. And that is because it has 8 different gates in it, and it's reminiscent of a compass, with the 4 cardinal directions and the additional 4 directions in between those. There's probably a name for that I'm blanking on right now. But the heart center in general, and the heart chakra in other modalities, has been known as this meeting place of above and below. And you may have heard the quote, "as above, so below." I truly believe this to be the case. I believe that every chakra can be a portal for love and for connection to source, which is love in my view. In a lot of people's views, is my understanding. But the heart, because it stands at this crossroads between above and below, between right and left, which symbolizes masculine, feminine, and even between future and past. This is a place where many begin their journey of love in life, their journey of awakening to the love that is in all things. My heart, or G center, whatever you'd like to call it, in my natal chart in human design is open. And I only have 1 gate activated there, and it's with a 6th line. If you're familiar with human design, it's on its way out. And this particular gate points down, and it's about love of the body. It's the 46th gate. So you can even see in that example how it is showing sort of the connection between the gates pointing down, loving the body, the gates pointing up, loving the mind and the creativity, that kind of stuff. Even though I don't think creativity or the mind are limited to our heads, I think our whole body has a type of intelligence. And if we dismiss the rest of our body in lieu of the mind, excuse me, we miss a lot. I also wanted to mention, in conjunction with this center, that last week when I posted, I share with a lot of groups on Facebook, 80 or 90 some, and I have done so over the last 3 years, although YouTube videos have been more recent. One of the groups I am a member of is the Thich Nhat Hanh group, and I've always loved Zen Buddhism, and I got a comment there last week. They've usually welcomed my posts in that group, but I got one comment there last week that asked, what on earth does this have to do with Thich Nhat Hanh? And what I wanted to share is that I believe human design, in the symbology of this heart center and the 8 gates and the midpoint between above, below, right, left, masculine, feminine, past, future, but even more so with all of the 64 gates, as the graphic shows that I usually include with these videos, it's basically the 64 sides to truth. I've always loved Zen Buddhism, as I was saying, and the way that it helps us and encourages us to let go of attachments and just be here now. One of the first books I read, even though I was brought up Christian, when I was in the Lutheran church at my college, a campus ministry, it was recommended that I borrow this book, Peace is Every Step, by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I just immediately loved it. And I saw no conflict with Christianity there. Apparently my pastor at the time didn't either. And since then, I've only continued to expand my philosophy beyond Christianity. I don't completely shun Christianity, although I do not agree with the way some people have interpreted it to be divisive or exclusive in some ways. I believe everyone has their own path. And as I was saying, I believe that human design helps show us these different truths, these different paths, and that all paths lead to source, love, as symbolized by our hearts. So what I would say is that even though Zen Buddhism has done a great job of helping people let go of attachments, just be here now, find peace in every step, even to love our different emotions and feelings of anger even, I remember he spoke about that. And in that way, embracing those different parts of ourselves, even different religions, and finding peace in that, the embrace of those different things, those different aspects that maybe we haven't always been encouraged to embrace. That general philosophy is helpful, and yet sometimes people really crave being heard for who they are uniquely before they feel like they can really find their path, because our paths are all a little bit different, and they may not all look like that of a Buddhist monk. Mine certainly hasn't. There was a short time when I was involved in meditation much more intensely and had a guru, but I don't now, and I meditate on my own. I don't have a guru right now. I've followed many different teachers at different times, but I can really now at this stage in my life see the value of all those different paths. And that's why really I created Earth Tree Sun, this channel. And Gaia really wants to convey to you how important that diversity is. Not just the diversity of nature, but the diversity of human thought, human philosophy, human action, that just human lifestyles even. And that they are all important. Here comes my pup with his treats. It might get a little louder. So that is what I believe these messages have to do with Thich Nhat Hanh. He certainly embraced all these different philosophies, and this is just another way of showing us how to embrace our uniqueness and other people's uniqueness, accepting those differences rather than fighting against them. So, what I was also going to mention was, with me having an open heart, sounds good when you say it that way, but any center that's open is going to amplify that energy from others who have it defined, or sometimes even if you just define it together, one person has one gate, one person has the other, that creates a defined center. I feel like because of that openness in my natal chart, I have really lived a lot of different people's stories, at least for a short time, not necessarily their whole lives, obviously, but it has put me in touch with so many different people's points of view. Stories, I think, is the best word, really. And I think that's why I embrace this diversity and want to convey that to you all in these messages. So if you have an open heart, or G center as it's called in human design, you may relate to that. People sometimes say that it makes us a bit of a chameleon. We can wear a lot of different hats. We can sort of try on a lot of different identities. Some people even think of it as masks. And it can take on that nature sometimes. But you have to be careful to not adopt identities that are not healthy for you. I certainly tried that. I found it so easy to be adaptable and flexible that I did it too much, and it was not good for me in certain relationships, certain ways. So embrace it for the blessings that it is, but also recognize when you may need to take that hat off. People sometimes don't trust people like us who can be so adaptable. But just recognize those differences. You know, people who have it defined, they have a very set direction in their lives, and you can sense that sometimes. But it may not be the best direction for you. So you can try it out, but just be aware that it may need to change as you notice how that feels in you. Okay, so before I do the meditation for you, I'm going to pause here and come right back. My dog was set on a certain direction. Maybe the transits are defining our G center right now. I don't know. So I'll invite you to take a few deep breaths, get centered and grounded with me. Feel the sunlight come in through the top of your head, down through your body, down through your legs, out your feet, into the earth, sending down your roots. And then feel the energy come up from Mother Earth, up through your roots, your feet, your legs, up through your body, and pause at your heart. And I invite you now to use your hands if you'd like, and pull back into the center of you any fragments that might be hanging out there where you may have tried to follow a different direction and you realize you've overextended yourself. That direction might have been healthy for you for a time. It might never have been. Either way, it isn't now. And so let's pull it in back into our heart and hold it here to be cleansed and purified. Take a deep breath. Let it out. And let's just give each other grace to follow the paths that we choose. Follow the paths that call to us, the directions that call to us, including giving each other the grace to change those directions as we see fit. It's important in relationships to recognize these ways that each of the people in the relationship function, whether they seem to have a set direction or more changeable direction, and to allow them to be as they need to be. All relationships, not just romantic. All right, now that that has been purified, let's expand our hearts. And this expansion has room, love for every person in existence, every being, loving them exactly as they are, unconditionally, including ourselves. This expansion, this love has no attachment. And so as we send it out, we see that we continue to be replenished at all times. So there's always enough love for everyone and always enough love for ourselves. Beautiful. One last deep breath. Namaste, beloveds. Thank you for joining me.